All right, everybody. Welcome to the UK Sangha every Wednesday. Check the link in the description for the exact time. Okay, so me and Veda, we're just talking about unpleasant sensation and sort of the reason why these unpleasant sensations are difficult or cause dukkha is because of various causes and conditions. So essentially how we're viewing, hey Robert.
Hey guys.
How we're viewing and relating to the unpleasant sensations that perpetuates them and causes dukkha around them. So what I started doing was asking Veda, without trying to get rid of or solve the unpleasant sensation, just asking him to describe like specific attributes or qualities of said sensations. And we arrived that they are in the abdomen area and they're experienced as the body. So they're not wishy-washy, they're not expanded. When we actually go with our awareness to the abdomen area and we experience the abdomen, we find that these sensations are a little bit more localized and confined to a specific area, whereas the unpleasant sensations, when we're not aware viscerally of the body as we breathe, these unpleasant sensations are a little bit more vague. So they're a little bit more just like they suffuse almost our entire experience, our entire consciousness with their unpleasantness. So
it's more like if you look for dukkha in that way, in that regard, bound to the sensation, it's like everywhere you look, you find it, but you're not aware of that you're doing this. So it seems that you're everywhere you're looking, you find an unpleasant sensation.
Right. So cause of dukkha can be said to be dependent on the condition of how we're viewing our experience of reality. So if we view our experience of reality through the lens of victimhood, really, of I am suffering, I'm suffering dukkha, then everywhere we look, right, we'll find dukkha. Because really there's shit on our glasses. So there's dukkha on our glasses and everything's going to look like dukkha. And everything's going to look like shit. So literally having a little wakey moment is waking up to the fact that that's going on and then seeing clearly the way things really are. And that doesn't mean now that suddenly there's no unpleasant sensations, because our experience is a mixture of unpleasant sensations, pleasant sensations, and neutral sensations. But that just means we're actually looking at the sensations for what they really are. Like, and there's going to be unpleasant sensations are usually fueled by sankharas or residues of ignorance. So in this waking up process, we're going to become more aware of unpleasant sensations. So it might seem like we're going backwards, right? Whereas really we're waking up to the fact of the immediate experience of our reality. And
that's not really how I see it anymore. It's more like those waves.
Let
like
me finish.
those circles. You know what I mean?
But there that's not the end of the story. So that's where noting or most of vipassana practices start. Oh, waking up to the fact of the unpleasant sensations. But what we do here is we intentionally play with the thoughts and intentionally practice the breath to directly interfere with unpleasant sensations and change them and mess around with them and toy with them. So when we realize that most of our unpleasant sensations are a reaction to some sort of stimulus in the form of a thought, we can play around with replacing thoughts, unwholesome thoughts, with thoughts conducive to feelings of safety and security and relaxation and joy and sukha and piti. Not just the thoughts.
Can I stop you there at the one moment? So, if we de-mahasifying, so to speak, in this regard, do you think that it's just Westerners who experienced mostly this vipassana style are just before this prone to do this because of cultural issues? Or is it because I was introduced to things like the Mahasi style?
Yeah,
what would you say? What would you guess?
Yeah, most spiritual paradigms is sort of a misinformation about how the waking up process works.
Yeah.
So that we've been told that, oh, we just need to become aware of these things, and that's it. And awareness is inherently free of those qualities. So you are the awareness of the sensations, not the sensations. So it doesn't do anything to the actual sensations. It just focuses on, oh, remember to be aware of them, right? But this doesn't really, I mean, you may have moments of grace, right, where they magically go away, but this is not going to start to change the habitual tendency and start to change the very mechanism that produces these unpleasant sensations. So what we're doing is more in line with the actual teachings of the Buddha, to to practice ānāpānasati and to practice really the jhāna. And there's some debate about whether jhana is necessary for awakening, but as I understand the practice of the Buddha and as I understand the teachings of Dhammarato, is that 100% it is. So we have to come into a wholesome state. We have to come into a satisfied state.
At least first jhana.
At least first jhana. And there's been reports that people can experience. Again, I'm going to be talking about nibbana a little bit differently than Dhammarato talks about nibbana. He talks about it more as cooling off, right? It's a nibbana moment. But there's been reports that people just needed to get into first jhana to experience nibbana. But more frequently, fourth jhana, people experience nibbana because you can really see things really clearly and you can start to deconstruct the mind. But without getting into all that,
Nitty-gritty stuff.
Because the thing about the jhana is that it's always going to be a mental proliferation unless you're actually experiencing it, even if you have experienced the jhana before. So anything I say about the jhana, if I'm not experiencing it right now in this moment, is going to be a concept about the jhana and not the jhana themselves, even if I've mastered them or done all of them. So sometimes talking about all this stuff and all the jhanas is kind of fruitless. But back to the misinformation of becoming aware is enough. No, we have to become aware so that we can change it. And this is kind of nailed home time and time again. But there's things we can do. There's options here. We can. So the primary unpleasant sensations was right smack dab in the center of my chest. That's where all the anxiety, that's where all the fear, and that's where all the dukkha generally lived. And then I practiced for so long before I come into Dhammarato. Just be aware of it. I'm aware of it, and try to see how it's in awareness, and awareness has no qualities, or awareness is expansive, awareness is broad, and it's in a bath of awareness, and just be aware of it and let it dissolve, or like let it be free, or like surrender it to the space. So like that's kind of that's kind of too passive for it to really work. So what actually makes these unpleasant sensations, what actually liberates these unpleasant sensations and creates the causes and conditions for pleasant sensations, namely piti and sukha, to arise, is toying with our thoughts. So we can really actually think thoughts that really calm things down and and spark joy. So have you guys ever seen the meme where it's like this Japanese woman who she comes in and she like remodels a house and she says, "This does not spark joy. this one sparks joy." So Robert's seen it. So there's a meme out.
I've seen it.
She's like, "This does not spark joy," and then she's like, this one sparks. So we do the same thing with our thoughts, right? Does this thought spark joy? No, it doesn't. You throw it out. This thought sparks joy, and so we keep it. It's like we're remodeling the furniture of our house. Okay, we look at this drab piece of furniture and we see, oh, this isn't particularly useful furniture or decoration. It is not particular. This piece of furniture or decoration is not particularly conducive to joy or the feeling of home that I want it to be. So what am I going to do? I'm simply going to replace it. So I'm going to get rid of it. Hey, Katal, welcome aboard.
Hey,
I don't know if you're having connection
hello
problems.
everybody.
The more people's mics on, the better. So we want to see your guys' faces. But what we're just talking about here, as Katal arises and passes away, is we're talking about playing around with the thoughts is similar to remodeling our house furniture and decorations. So we want to throw away the things or the thoughts that don't spark joy and replace it with things that spark joy and our happiness.
That's totally interesting, because I talked to Dhammarato a couple of weeks, could be a month ago, about this from Chuladasa, who says something like being on the path. I mean, we are not talking about path and things like this, more skill development, but he's talking about path, so I use this term. Like not remodeling a house, but completely changing the entire structure of the house while you are living in the house, while you are using the house, every stone, taking it out and replacing it or setting it somewhere else down. And Dhammarato said, no, it's not actually this way. It's like just cleaning the house, and that's it.
Right. So a lot of these vipassana teachings and stuff will be like, oh, we have to brute force our entire. We have to see the emptiness, or we have to see the impermanence of every single sensation we ever, and we have to just construct the everything. No, all we have to do is clean the dirt and the shit out of it, so we can start to see things a little more clearly for how it already is. So we don't need to superimpose emptiness onto things because they're already empty. All we have to do is get rid of the hindrances that is making your life miserable.
So this was the way you use remodeling in this simile.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So similar to that, if there's dirt in the house, there's a piece of furniture that's rotting. It's full of termites. But you're gonna get rid of it, okay? It's almost like a common sense approach to happiness. It's kind of not very complicated. It's really like you simply develop the habit of stopping thinking yourself into feeling bad and stopping thinking about stuff that makes you feel terrible, and then now what you're left with is just the momentum and the sankhara of the unpleasant sensations themselves without the fuel from the thoughts. So once you get to those and you've done everything you can to change the thoughts and gladden the mind, and you're just left with the momentum of the unpleasant sensations, now what we can do is we can breathe into them. So we can toy around with these clusters of sensations, and we can change them by taking a deeper breath, namely because the sensations are hiding out in parts of the body. So if we take deeper breaths, those parts of the body expand. My chest is going to expand where the anxiety, where the fear, where the unpleasantness resides. And the breath is going to physically and viscerally expand those sensations. So that's a direct so without trying to just sit there passively and see how they're empty, we're physically seeing the emptiness of them. You see it's quite a big freaking difference. I mean, you could sit there for 20 years just wallowing in it and just be like, oh, it's empty. I see it arising. I see it passing away. Not self, or just like with the concept about it. But here we're actually seeing the emptiness of the sensations because we're toying with them or expanding them. And another added goodie or another byproduct of doing this is literally taking these breaths is going to it's going to set the condition for like tingly good feelings to happen, because getting more oxygen into the brain, getting more oxygen into the bloodstream, that's how the human mechanism, the human body functions at 100% capacity. So it's like putting the best kind of oil into your car, full synthetic instead of the crappy kind, and replacing the oil regularly. So if you don't replace the oil in your car, it's going to get murky and it's going to get polluted. So the blood Yeah, so
on
the
every
blood,
level.
yeah, and it's going to cause problems, and things are going to start to break down.
I practice Tomo now for a few years, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. So we viscerally can remember the experience of it, and it's like, and it's not some like wishy-washy you have to hope is going to work. It's a direct causal relationship between this evokes that feeling. So we that's a direct insight into dependent origination, is we see that how we feel about things and how sensations arise is dependently originated by causes and conditions, namely how we're breathing in this case, along with how we do things and how we think about things.
It's
So the
amazing.
practice is multifaceted. But yeah, back to the analogy of changing the oil in the car. So if we're not breathing much air in, we're not breathing much oxygen in, the bloodstream is only going to have access to a certain amount of oxygen, and it's going to be, the blood is going to be reusing that. Whereas if we're taking deep, it could be short breaths, just deep breaths, or it could be long, more steady breaths. And you can experiment and toy around with this. But this is going to recycle the contents of the blood. Filter out old stuff. That's what the lungs do. They filter out um, the oxygen that's turned into carbon dioxide. So the percentage of oxygen in your blood will rise, and the percentage of carbon dioxide will decrease. So we're directly filtering out our system by taking.
And you're getting rid of amazingly much stuff from the body to the environmental air. That's also, the pathway goes both ways.
Right.
How do you how do you guys breathe to deal with let's say emotions that are very unpleasant? How do you breathe for that? Do you take long breaths into, like, do you feel like you're visual, or you're moving the breath into the feeling? So I've had lots of different advice given me on to deal with that,
Right, and probably all that advice was just like not very useful. So here's actually what's going to work. First off, I need to ask you some questions, like about the sensations. Like, where are the sensations? Like in your field.
A lot of the time, it's like this consistent heaviness in my chest that's generally evoked by not being mindful enough. Kind of, I feel it more and more throughout the day, but when I'm with it and I'm able to stay with it for a while, it's not really there. It's only when I'm not really constantly mindful that it starts to feel like, holy shit, there's something really just there.
Yeah, so the heaviness, like, be more specific. Where exactly in the chest is it? Like, where? Like, it's in the like.
It's right.
It's in the.
It's a heavy.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
yeah, it's just above the diaphragm, just above the sternum.
Just
Sorry,
above,
above the
just
sternum.
above the solar plexus, right? Like where the.
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
where,
yeah, exactly.
that's where the lungs expand if you're taking a deeper breath. So if you're taking deeper breaths and your chest isn't literally expanding, you're not doing it right. Your breath should expand the rib cage and the diaphragm and start to stretch, like physically stretch the skin and the muscles around that area, because that heaviness is a physical contraction. So it's a physical tension in your chest with the muscles of the diaphragm. So you literally take breaths, and do it right now. Take breaths in such a way that the muscles and skin in that exact area stretch and start to break apart. And you should feel a physical stretch, like if you're stretching your arm, you should feel an actual stretch there.
I'll add here that sometimes the stretch can feel like the chest cavity is sort of like, it's almost like cracking open, like it's this tight sheet that's like it's cracking apart in a way.
It's cracking apart because it's so not used to stretching out like that. So it feels like it's cracking apart. And you're like, because normally you think like, oh, this isn't the right way to breathe. It's my chest feels like it's cracking apart. Or like, oh, I need to breathe through the belly. No, it's bullshit. You need to breathe through the chest and expand it. That's when the lungs are fully expanded, is when the chest stretches apart. And
Scott, I'd like to interrupt to add something, which is that breathe deep down into your belly and fill up that whole diaphragm until the air expands upwards in the chest naturally. So you're not just breathing into the chest, you're breathing all the way deep. And then as it becomes fully full, it'll start to open up that top part of the chest cavity, and the anxieties will crack away as the muscles sort of just expand and crackle. This
is exactly what I'm saying not to do, is don't breathe into the belly. That's a misunderstanding of how to breathe. Just breathe so the chest expands. Who cares about the belly? The chest is expanding, and that's what we're playing around with, the sensations there and the tensions there. You don't need to waste time on the belly. Just go directly to expanding the chest.
Dhammarato told me to breathe deeply into the belly and to fill up the diaphragm first, and then the chest would naturally expand after that.
The problem is when you exclude the lower part of the torso, you can trigger a sympathetic neural response. So I agree with what Dhammarato said here through the experience of I forgot your name. It only says live CID.
Oh.
Sorry,
I thought you meant.
Oh, my name?
No.
Oh, my name?
Oh, Kaho.
The sir with the beanie.
Oh, Robert.
Of course, Robert.
Oh.
That if you start with the lower torso up into the upper torso, and you get, so to speak, the whole torso blown up like a balloon, you trigger not the sympathetic response but the parasympathetic response. So you lower your stress levels and so on and so on and so on. This is also in Tummo the case. This is also, if you know the Wim Hof method, it's a more Western approach. If you just stay with the upper part, it depends. I mean, some people are wired differently. This is possible. No problem. But from a medical standpoint, it's pretty well documented. So I mean, you can look it up.
Yes, another thing Dhammarato told me was that most people, when we breathe, we only breathe into about 40 to 60% of our lungs' full capacity. But when we breathe into 80%, what will happen is the diaphragm will fill up first, and then the chest will open up. And if we were to take it to 100%, which he doesn't recommend, as it's not the safest way to do it, and it takes a lot of effort, then even we'll start to feel the breath and sensations of the breath in our arms and stuff. We might get tingly and lightheaded. That's if we're breathing too deep. But at 80%, we'll really start to feel that chest opening up.
Here's why I'm emphasizing the chest so much.
Mm-hmm.
Is because many are not used to taking deep breaths. So the lungs, literally, it's strenuous to take in a full deep breath, that you'll be breathing through the belly and you won't get to the chest, because the lungs, Yeah, the belly and the chest is great, but you know, the lungs aren't used to taking that much air in the beginning. So what we want to do is gradually increase, like if we're working out. So we want to start to, so we add a little weight at a time. So we want to add more oxygen. So we don't want to be breathing in a way that it's like unpleasant and like hard and difficult, but we want to just add more. And then the lungs are going to get more used to that and stronger. So now you can add a little bit more and a little more until you're taking to the full capacity you can. But the belly will arise and fall naturally, because the lungs are built in the body, how the lungs are built in the body, and when they fill up, they're going to cause a change in the body. How they cause a change in the body. So I'm emphasizing the chest here because that's where the tension is.
Mm-hmm.
So literally breathing in such a way that your chest expands.
Yeah, the tension is just generally in the chest. Also, it's a lot of weird, strong tension right between my eyes too. That's the just crazy one. Like it's just such an odd thing. It's so intense right here.
Do you get it from meditating as well? Like tension,
Yes,
migraine. I sometimes get that when I meditate, and when I have like a lot of effort in my meditation, like I'm really trying to stay strong and keep my mind in the first jhāna, and feels like there's just so much I'm having to like suppress. Like I get like tension like right there as well.
Trying.
Unbelievable amount of tension. It's like at some times like I'll go for a walk and I'll be like, what is this thing? It's like a pulsating, moving energy. It's just like contracting your old brain. It feels like there's a hand squeezing your brain or something.
Yeah, like a pressure there. I really relate to that.
Yeah, so that's
Very
another
intense.
tension, right? So we can do things to relax tensions. Whether it's like
Dhammarato said kneading or something like that, massaging and kneading.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm telling you to do right now. So like it's a sinus tension. Go like this, play around with the sign. Like I literally when some of my friends are having a headache or like a pressure, I'll literally do that thing where I just start to like really get into the temples and stuff like that, and like behind the ears, and like just play around with it, massage it, and then you'll see, oh shit, it's a whole system, and like playing around with the different pressure points will start to affect right underneath the eyes too, like the nose bridge, and then underneath the eyes, and then right next to the eyes.
Explore your body, man. It's yours to play with.
But I like hearing that.
Yeah, so the whole step in the Anapanasati is that the first step is to take the breath, practice. So you're training. So you train the breath, and then you become more aware of the body as a byproduct of becoming more aware and training the breath. And then the third step is to relax the tensions or tranquilize bodily formations. Like that's the sequence of steps explicitly laid out by the Buddha himself. So like doing all these things is for the sake of eventually it's going to relax things to the point where you're going to experience sukha rather than dukkha. And when you experience sukha rather than dukkha, now things are functioning how they should be, and how we want them to be for our purposes of dukkha nirodha. And then you can start to play around with the levels and skills of things. So you can become just like you're becoming a connoisseur of your own body and like your own feelings, and how to tinker with things to start feeling good and feeling the way that you want to feel. And to realize that it's a skill that you can simply develop through repetition and practice. It's not a mercy, it's not a grace, it's not a surrender of of many.
I hate that word as surrender. I totally haven't resonated with that at all recently. Like the word surrender for me now, it just like conjures up feelings of like almost a form of escapism. Like I'm gonna surrender, I'm gonna give up, and it's almost a way of avoiding my issues instead of facing them and confronting them and overcoming them with courage and compassion.
The thing is that as long as there's dukkha, you're going to want the dukkha to go away. So dukkha is the problem. Instead of playing a spiritual game where we say dukkha isn't a problem, okay, and we say that dukkha, there's nothing to do about dukkha, when you can intentionally, like, the point of dukkha is to come out of dukkha. Like, it's like dukkha is a sign that there is practice to be done. And the motivational aspect of this, and the hopefully gladdening and hopefully joyous revelation is that there is a path that has been laid out to the end of dukkha. So there is a way out. Yes, there's dukkha, but there's simply a way out of dukkha, and that it may take a lot of repetition, and may take a lot of practice, but and may take some trial and error. But there is the path laid out, and like as long as you're experiencing dukkha, there is only one way out, and the only way out is the Dhamma. So you can postpone it as much as you like, but then at a certain point you come to the realization that what the problem actually is through wisdom, and you come to the realization the solution is not going to be sensual pleasures and chasing them, because that's just perpetuating the cycle of dukkha. And you see that the solution to dukkha is a completely like independent journey that he abides ardent and fully aware, independent, secluded from sensual pleasures and grief and covetousness for the world. So this is the language that is translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi, but it's directly from the Pali Canon. It's directly from the original suttas. So we all know this feeling of sitting down and being fed up with the world and solving these problems directly. So having given up the mental proliferation for what we normally look for happiness in, we see the illusion of it, and we see there's only there's only one way out, and it comes from waking up to these things and changing them directly in our visceral experience. And then insights, after we develop some skill and we have some success, insights about, oh, actually these things are dependent on those things, and those things are dependent on these things, in my experience, will develop. So you just become even better at changing and feeling how you want to feel. So like it's not like you get the insight, now you can feel better. No, we practice changing how we feel, and then we develop insight that, oh, these things can be changed, and that this aspect of my experience is dependent on this aspect of experience. So now I can see directly the causal nature and how and where to go and what to remove in order to change things or clear the junk that was stopping the river from flowing. We've all seen that scene from Avatar where there's like the chakras, and it's like a waterfall that goes into various pools, and with the removal of like each blockage, the water can flow to the next eddy. So that's kind of a good way to conceptualize the jhana, is that with the removal of hindrances, the water can flow to the next pool of first jhana, and then the cessation of the thinking and examining thought, it can go to the next jhana, and then with the removal of the piti, it goes to the next jhana, and so on, until it's removed everything, every blockage, and then things flow completely freely, and the realization that the visceral realization of emptiness can occur. And it's good. Remember that there's no hierarchy here. It's not like nibbana is better than first jhana. It's all good. Once you are free of hindrances, it's all good from there. Like, you're literally having a good time from there. Like, if you remove the hindrances, it's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. But you really can see how good can it really get, right? But what you really want, if you want not in first jhana, what you really want to be doing is practicing and getting into first jhana and getting into a wholesome state, because that's where the fun is. Okay, that's where the party is. You're not at the party.
Not a pity party.
Not a pity party. Okay. We're leaving the pity party, going to the piti party.
Yay! And I like that Robert really emphasizes also his change in attitude. I mean, if I understand that correctly, finding more and more the lion in yourself, and really putting right effort in and right attitude and so on with the right view, and that's cool to hear.
Yeah, anyone who's been around long enough can see the dramatic change in Robert, and it's truly like, it's amazing, like Robert's progression has like really come a long way, and it's like his maturity and his nuance and his insight has come a long way, and you can see the direct change in his attitude and how he feels more and more. And like Robert used to be the king of pity parties, and like that's what we're waking up out of.
It's true. That's why I like surrender stuff. Oh, there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go, I can just continue to be miserable, and I'll surrender to the misery. And
there's no shame in it.
You just go around and around.
Yeah. You just go around and around. And I've been in a pity party. That's what depression is a feeling sorry for ourselves and continuing to feel bad for ourselves, and just like circle jerking that into our experience, like, oh, it's so bad, and I'm a victim, and woe is me, and then it's just gonna keep the bad feelings going, and then we're honestly become addicted to that, and like it's a weird craving.
Cooking yourself.
Yeah, so we see that that's actually not what we want to do. We're gonna let's change things, and wow, we can feel like a kid again. We can feel like that joy and that feeling of being alive, that thrill and that excitement, and that reinvigoration and spark of fully being alive, because a lot of people think that like Buddhist meditation and the practice of the Buddha is like life denying and like very like ascetic. That's not the teaching of the Buddha. The jhāna actually makes you feel vibrantly alive, fully awake, fully here, fully present to the moment. And like one of the biggest experience I've ever had of the most powerful second jhana experience I've ever had was when I was actually snowboarding, because I was waking up out of hindrances of fear and doubt by literally going off jumps and landing them. And then I was like, yes, I can do this kind of feeling. That's where you go from first to second, is once you're developed that success, like that victory lap, that victory dance. And
Scott, let me shortly interlude something, because I have to.
Oh yeah. Right.
What was it? Let me think of it. I'm not that good with jokes. What is a Buddhist who's totally absorbed in his computer?
What?
Nerdvana. So that doesn't happen to me. I have to go now. Okay.
Thank you, Veda.
Bye,
All right.
Veda.
See you next time.
Till next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, does anyone have anything they want to say about that? Any questions?
Yeah, I even noticed the other day that I wasn't very mindful throughout when I was working, especially when I'm working and there's so much happening.
Your camera on so we can see you?
Oh, can you not see me?
No, it's their
I
camera.
can see, but I think it's, I don't know.
It might just be the connection.
You see me now?
That's all right. Oh yeah, I think it's just the connection. So go ahead.
Is it really choppy?
The video is, but we can hear you. So just
Yeah, I know.
you don't have to have the video on. You could just go ahead with your question.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed. God, I noticed the other day that I wasn't. I was working and I wasn't so mindful. I'd say I wasn't like I was observing how all these emotions were happening, but I wasn't actually doing anything because on top of the work, so much effort, and I noticed my mind wanted to get so lost in a pity. Like I was like, oh, I'm so I'm feeling so bad. I can't handle this, and like all those thoughts were coming up,
Yeah.
and I just saw those thoughts, but I can't I just continue kind of just being more equanimous with it, but also introducing, because generally I didn't understand the gladdening of the mind, but I introduced the gladdening of the mind being this relentless equanimity with with it all, and just being with the suffering and looking at the suffering and finding more suffering, because that was the method I was kind of using, the more the noting and just like the bland awareness. But the actual gladdening is so much effort when you're in this deep, like pitiful states. But when you do it and you do it and you do it and you actually get out of it and you're like, holy shit, I can actually make myself feel the way I want.
Right.
It's like such a powerful feeling. There's like such a deep confidence in yourself that you're so grounded, like right within your body. Like the outside, like whatever appearances is happening in the outside is like whatever's happening in the outside. But you're not. It's such a beautiful feeling. It's such a confident feeling, and you could just drag that so far down the road, man. You could just build it up and build it up. And I'm so excited to see where this goes. I'm so excited to see like how far this goes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact right approach.
There's so much you can do with it as well. Once you have like that inner confidence and that deep like feeling of like I can do this, it's like it opens you up to so many like new ways to add in like different things in meditation.
Robert, I think you broke up. Or is that my connection?
Robert, my connection is the worst here for sure.
Robert,
I can't. you or see you anymore.
Did Robert freeze for you too?
Yeah, he's gone for me too.
That's too bad. He was really good. He was really on to something there.
Ah, he's back. Robert.
Oh, you broke up.
I got frozen mid-sentence.
What were you saying? Or
Yeah.
did you forget?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. It keeps freezing. It's my internet. It sucks. I was just going
What
to
were you
say,
saying?
once you have that
Oh no.
of like other practices, and just like it's like you've got the main dish sorted, you can add in the spices, you can put the cherries on top in whatever order you like and create jhanas with different flavors to them, and it becomes like this like, it's not just like you're trying to do one thing. Now you can like have freedom to do so many different things just with that confidence.
So once you get that spark lit, how big can you make the fire? So like once you really feeling that I can do this, like it's like you feel like you're king of the world, like you're on top of the world, like you're literally like, it's almost funny because you're like you're like winning the game in a sense. So you're like
winning the game of life.
Yeah, you're winning the game of life, because this is only a game. Like everyone, like anyone else who's doing stuff and still miserable, like they're not winning. Okay, so this is like winning, like Charlie Sheen. Okay, so it's like you're winning. #winning. And it's like so empowering. So it's like you become like the emperor of the entire universe, and like you can experience, because these higher, more advanced states you won't have access to if you see yourself as like a beginner meditator. You see yourself as like not the Buddha, or like not, you like, if you don't see yourself as it, like I'm gonna be the one to do this and I'm doing it, you're not gonna be able to experience like boundless consciousness, all these types of becoming one with everything. That's just a rung on the ladder. Okay. This is where the other traditions, the Hindu traditions, stop. They stop at becoming one with everything. But becoming one with everything is a good experience to have, because you really wake up to your experience and integrate it. But there's more to go, because you're still fabricating a self. So like all of this rungs on the ladder is a rung. So it's like every feeling of I can do this and stuff, it's like a necessary step, and it's like it's actually a really fun step, and like enjoy it while it's there, but realize that there's something beyond it too. So enjoy it, enjoy the success while it's there, but realize that there's a state further beyond this, even because in the MN 111 Sutta that details all the jhana, it says that at the end of each paragraph until Nibbana. So at the first jhana, Sariputta realizes there's something further beyond this, and then until all the way, it says that each jhana, even the boundless consciousness, even neither perception nor non-perception, these really refined advanced states, all the way till Nibbana, and then at Nibbana, then there's nothing further beyond this. This is it. So it's kind of like you're in the dark. Dhammarato said this to me one time. It's kind of like if you're in the dark tunnel, like, and you start to see the light. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's like going into the first jhana. But you're not going to sit there and just look at the light from afar. You're going to start walking towards it, and then you keep walking towards the light, and then things evolve and develop. and you experience the processes of the jhāna, and you experience the nuances of the mind, and the dependent origination of things, until the point where you go into the light completely, like go to the light, like that's nibbana.
Like,
so it's, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I feel like the walking to the light analogy kind of thing is very it's like if you're really trapped in your human unworthiness, you'll be like, I can't do that, I cannot walk to the light, you know, that's way far away from me. Like I'll settle here, this is good enough. Like you have all of these unworthy, constricting self yeah basically like that kind of stuff.
Many people think like the Buddha is some sort of God, you know, you bow to the Buddha and he's this God, okay? It's like unattainable. Yeah. Dudes, they fucking deify this dude. He's just a regular dude who became awakened, and you can do it too. So like people like, they create whole religions, they create all these rituals of like, oh, how dare you disrespect the Buddha? You can only an ordained monk can talk about the Buddha Dhamma and attain anything. You can't attain anything. It, like, how dare you? Like, this is my this
is like concept.
Yeah,
here, you know, my concept is up on a pedestal of who the Buddha is. My Buddha is on a golden statue. Do not even come close to my Buddha.
yeah.
You know?
Like my idea of the Buddha, and they're just circle jerking a mental concept, right? So instead of actually doing it, so they're gonna study and be a scholar without actually becoming a Buddha. When I rather actually become a Buddha, like I don't really care about the packaging or like the rituals.
Yeah, you unwrap the gift and then you throw the packaging away. You don't keep the fucking box.
Yeah. So yeah,
the ornate box.
The realization that none of these rules of society, even Buddhist society, applies to this process and this enlightenment. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, so the light at the end of the tunnel analogy, and the common belief that maybe in another lifetime I'll become enlightened, or maybe I'll become a sotapan and then I'll get into a heaven realm or something. Like
I'll take bodhisattva vows, but I won't do the work to become a Buddha, you know. I'll take vows to be a bodhisattva in the next life, but I'll never actually believe I can be a Buddha, you know. It's so strange.
Yeah, that's another one. So,
and you like see how it's really just mental, like proliferate, like it's just like getting around feelings they don't want to feel. Like it's very simple in a way. Like it's just like the same old shit basically you've been doing your whole life, but you're now like trapped Buddhist.
It's sort of like a cope. I can't escape my suffering. I can't bring an end to my suffering, so I'll find a meaning in the suffering that will make it worthwhile. But it's a coping mechanism because you're still suffering.
All Christians do that. They're like, oh, I must suffer. I'm not worthy. Okay. Jesus died for my sins because he saved me. Thank you, Jesus. You saved me. like freaking, it's like, as a loser, it's honestly such a, it's a it's B mentality. It's like, it's a losing mentality. And you're going to make your bed and you're going to sleep in it. So if that's how you view things, you're gonna feel like a loser. If you view yourself as a loser, you're gonna feel like a loser. And I don't like feeling like a loser. I don't know. Like, do you guys like feeling like it? I don't like it. I'd rather be a champion. So like, that's why the lion animal is used as a symbol for this thing too, because it's like being a lion. Okay. It's king of the jungle. It's being a champion. It feels like that, and that's how it should. And that's the feeling that we're evoking, and
it's
coming
really
in.
So simple.
Yeah,
it's like if like circus, like elephants in the circus or something. Like the elephant is like king. The elephant is like, whoa, this is such a majestic. And like an elephant in a circus chained up its whole life, right? and it's basically conditioned in such a way to believe everything around it owns it. And then it's like, okay, and now it's an adult elephant. It's this huge elephant in chains, but the chains are taken off one day, but the elephant still sits around because in
Right.
its mind, it's like it believes it doesn't understand that it can just get up and do whatever it wants. Like
Yeah.
any moment, you literally have a choice, moment to moment, every moment to do whatever you want. It's just that you don't feel you can do it. But if you just realize, wait, you can do it, and just do it anyway. Oh wait,
Yeah.
you can do it, and then the real genuine confidence that isn't constructed from fear, the actual inner confidence that's inherent, that's what you really are, that real deep confidence just happens, emerges. It like explodes away all the bullshit conditioning because you can just do whatever you want, man, in any moment of your life. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so
No,
funny when you actually
that's
see
cool,
it
man.
as a reality.
I'm glad you brought that up, the elephant analogy. Okay, so like these baby elephants are tied, they have like some sort of fence, or like they're tied by a little rope, and so they can't move past a certain point. And then once they grow up into a giant elephant, so that's like when we're children, we're put on all these rules and we're bound by all these psychological prisons. And so we become a loser and a victim in our own minds. And then when we grow up, we don't realize that we're a big adult now and we can change how we feel about things. So like the elephant grows up, it can just rip that rope right off, but it doesn't know it can because it's used to the conditions of when it was a child. So that's like coming into spiritual adulthood, really, what it means. It's to wake up to the fact that we can rip the rope off and be free. And the only thing I would change is the getting rid of a true nature view. So the idea of our true nature view, rather view it as things are dependently originated. So even nibbana and even awakening and Buddhahood is dependent upon causes and conditions. So everything is inherently dependent due to causes and conditions, and there's no true nature behind it. So there's no ground of being, and there's no true nature. It's just if we change with the cessation of this comes the cessation of this. So the only thing we're teaching here is dukkha,
Do you say
dukkha.
that again?
So with
change?
the cessation of these causes and conditions comes the
I
cessation
see.
cessation of the effect. So what we're doing is dukkha, dukkha,
Yeah.
nirodha. With the cessation of this comes the cessation of dukkha, and that's not a true nature. That's just a byproduct of the different causes and conditions, and the insight developed of how it all works and how it all functions. So we're waking up intentionally and developing insight of how things are interrelated and how the mechanisms of them work, and through that we free ourselves from the illusion of it. But there's no self to free itself. So there's like no true self to arrive at. It's like it's the recognition that there isn't that the experience of the self is sort of like an impermanent changing phenomena that is a byproduct of circumstances. So toying around and playing with the circumstances and following the path of the Dhamma just leads you to knowledge and visions of things as they are. So rather true nature of self, which is a good stepping stone, I feel like, to the true Dhamma. But from my new Theravada perspective, I try to avoid. So I came from like self-realization, like Advaita school, and I found that the view of true self is it's actually it may seem good, but I don't think it's as advanced and nuanced of a view as it could be. So seeing things more as dependently originated and things are caused by causes and conditions. So dukkha, sense of self, all that is a more scientific approach than my true nature is Buddha, or my true nature is liberated or free. Because then that kind of creates a subtle clinging. It creates a subtle clinging to a ground and to a self that is liberated, and it creates the mental echo and mental image of that, which that is to be like seen as not the ultimate. So the experience of nibbana is a subtractive process. It's literally subtracting everything away. So it's not arriving at a true self per se, but it's just subtracting any idea of self or independent. Like there's no there's no soul, or there's no person, even true self person. So even glorified person, even infinite person, to link experiences together. Really, all there is just experiences and phenomena happening. And realizing that a specific phenomena, namely dukkha, is the only problem. So learning how to play with the phenomena to eliminate dukkha is the only thing that we need to worry about. And then from then, like, it doesn't matter if it's a true self or not. But I like not to like be like overly critical about the true self way of looking at things, but I'm just saying from my own experience, getting rid of that concept has been extremely beneficial for me in terms of the end of dukkha. So I don't have any concept of being a true self, aside from the fact that on the way up to nibbana, the conviction and the realization that I can do this, and I can be my own Buddha, and I can be the Buddha. So that's kind of different. Like that, I can do this. That like I am doing it, and I can do it, is a little bit different to, oh, I'm realizing my true nature. It's like a direct product of changing our experience. So it's like, but it's only an intermediary step. Even that is a fabrication. Like even the sense of self that is doing it is a fabrication. But it's like a necessary. It's a necessary fabrication, and it's a very enjoyable one. It's like a tool. It's a toy. It's a toy that we're playing with. So all of these things are toys, and all of these things can be examined. Even the true self can be examined, looked at, deconstructed. There's nothing that is like that. That's the teaching of emptiness. There's nothing that can't be examined and deconstructed and looked and seen clearly.
Yeah, I think I trust very much in just practicing and seeing an insight for myself, you know, seeing these things, and then whatever concepts I have to get me to the insight will probably just dissolve, I would imagine. That's how it's been working out so far. Or my misunderstandings or the confusion, just you see things in such a way that they just die very quickly, you know, like you see, this is not correct, this is not right, and it just kind of plops out, you know, something
Exactly.
like that.
No, perfect.
So
yeah,
it's kind of like
the true self teaching is it's almost a necessary step. It's like almost it is needed, in the sense that it is that I can do this. It's actually true self is the transition from first jhana to second jhana. That's true self. And then from then on, it becomes more no self and more no self. So true self is like, I am free, like I am liberated. I am that. I am that. That feels good, right? It feels good to be that. Like it feels good. Nisargata Maharaj, where it feels good to Papaji, like you are the consciousness that pervades all experience. That feels good. Like I am the one doing it, and I can be free, and I am free. That's the transition from first jhana to second jhana, and then from then on, those like that starts to the idea that I am that starts to fall away, and then you start to experience that without the I am.
Yes, and that's exactly it. Because I think that I really feel, know that from that it's kind of just an experience that doesn't seem to have I to it, to say I am this. It's not, you can't point to it, or you can't say it's something separate. I think it's an experience which you are, and once you are, there's no real things to say left, or there's no I to claim it as personal, to self or something, to name it as something personal.
So to realize that
I have
the experience I am is a function of experience rather than an intrinsic quality of reality. So it's not a ground of reality. Like I am, like that's what Hindu will teach you, is that I am is the ground. Whereas no, that's just a aspect of reality that arises and passes away. It's impermanent, you know? So even clinging onto that what does that do? It will cause dukkha. Clinging onto I am will cause dukkha. And you know, a lot of spiritual traditions don't want to hear that, but I go around to these non-dual circles and I look around and I see, are these people awoken? No, they're not. They're just attaching and they're circle jerking onto the concept I am. Well, whatever, you know. I rather just like deconstruct things completely and just you know, arrive at the true Dhamma of the Buddha.
Yes.
It's more excellent. Okay. I'm better spiritual. You know, I've never lost a spiritual pissing contest on the internet. I'm the undefeated.
Yeah, I see you wrote that.
Yeah, that's a running joke we have in the Sangha. But yeah, unless anyone has anything else to they want to bring up, I think that's a good note to end it on. It was beautiful talking to everyone, and I think it was a really good Sangha call, really fun. I really enjoyed hearing what Robert had to say and what you had to say, Dal. And
yeah, I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, till next time, everyone.
It's been banging conversation. Cheers, boys.
Banging Dhamma, fresh out the oven.
Sadhu. Yeah.
Fresh out.
Dhamma's and mash.
Later.
In a bit.